We know that the church is undergoing a $7 million renovation right now. We don't know if that had something to do with how this fire started. Of course, Dick, all of this even more emotional because it's the start of Holy Week. Good Friday is this Friday, and of course, Sunday is Easter Sunday.
You know, at the very end there, you were talking to that curator, and it was fascinating. What was she saying? What else did she have to say?
She was incredibly emotional, having visited there several times. She told me that this is one of the great monuments of civilization, and if you haven't been there and seen it in person, you can't quite appreciate its beauty as much. She did say that saving the structure and saving important pieces of the structure is not necessarily out of the question, and tonight we are hearing that they are attempting to save as much of that church as possible. And she spoke about the parts of the church individually, the individual pieces that make up this magnificent cathedral, the spire, the towers, the gorgeous stained glass windows that really speak to the soul, and then also the bells, which is really what I remember most when I visited there back in college. These bells have rung in triumph and in tragedy. I asked her if she could imagine a Paris where we don't hear those bells, and she said that is inconceivable.
Well, it is conceivable what we've seen. I know that they say they want to rebuild, and we certainly share that sentiment, but when you saw that fire and the intensity of it today, and there were some questions raised as to getting the water onto the fire, and I think the president even tweeted about dropping water on. What was that all about?
Well, a lot of us had that question. Why don't they fight it from the top? There was an expert from France speaking about that tonight. He said that's more a thing we see with forest fires. Right. It's not as easy to do in a situation like this. If you add any weight, even just the weight of water, that structure is at even further risk of collapsing, and that is not a risk that they were willing to take.
They certainly had their hands full, and we certainly hope they can rebuild.
That's right. 400 firefighters still on the scene right now. It is morning time there, so we're all thinking of them.
We certainly are. From New York to Paris, Jessica Layton, thank you very much. Well, CBSN has continuing in-depth coverage on the cathedral fire. We also have more information and photos of the devastating fire over on CBSNewYork.com.